hear it, man.
Black man.
Just get one trend, just be trimming and be like, yeah, chat to me. Nah, you know, it's true what they say though, like, a barber is really like a therapist, man. I don't know about you, man.
Yes.
My barber's my therapist.
My barber is not my therapist.
What? Is he not? I promise you, he knows.
No, KO is no, cause
Nah.
no, he's not working right now.
Yeah, but still.
No,
I
but
promise you.
he is.
Listen,
Our
my
barbers
barber
are,
has
he's
given me
cool.
amazing advice.
Incredible
about
advice
women,
about life.
Honestly.
My life.
religion,
Like
life.
everything.
Yeah.
It's actually like, yo, shout out to you, man. I know you're watching this.
Shout out to you,
Because I'm gonna
KO.
send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you.
Shout out to you.
I really
He's
miss
actually
you.
like even
Bro,
helped us
actually,
understand ourselves
Bro,
as individuals.
exactly, as a
like,
black man, what it means to be a
for
black
real.
man, like how
I don't know
to
what
take
it
care
is.
of yourself, you know, generally, like, you really changed me, bro.
It's really mad. It's like one of them things where, like,
Real man.
you know, he has bare clients, but he makes time for you.
Yeah, it's like
You
you
know,
get
he gets to make it on
each
personal.
client has like a personal
You know what I mean?
relationship.
He like a Bob is like one of the most wisest people on this earth. I genuinely think because the way they like, I don't know how, but it's with them doing the work that they do, and then all the people that they speak to, it's just like the advice that they.
It's just an opportunity for them to learn so much from different perspectives.
What's your experience as a black man?
We didn't even answer the
question.
question.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I know. I just got deep on it. Yeah, because it's a bomb, innit? So I just got into it. I got into it.
When you see my experience as a black man, it's tricky because it's the experience I've known all my life. So I can't really. It's only one side I know, but there's some things that kind of stick out. Like people expect me to like certain things. It's like they expect me to fit into a template. You know, so I can say I like country music and they're like,
What do you mean?
yeah. They're like, what do you mean?
You feel judged kind of thing.
I can say I don't like basketball and they're like, are
You don't
black?
fit like the typical.
Exactly. So everybody tries to box you into what you should be as a black man.
Does that come from everyone, including black men themselves?
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Like, sometimes it's even more like.
Sometimes it's more
It's
from
way
our-
more from. It's way more from.
It's
from
because
within our community.
like such a large number or such a large like group of black people have been unfortunately put into that kind of picture of how a black man should be, and now they think the same.
They see
It's like
themselves in way.
But at the
the
same
group is
time,
larger.
I feel like that's how we've been able to bond.
I disagree.
On certain levels, yeah, like
On certain levels,
I'm also with Rams because if I follow suit and box myself into that template, we still have so many subdividers. So I can be like the idea of what a black man should be, and the unity is still not there. Like we look at certain tribes and the way they unite, regardless of this, that. You can be black as the stereotype says, and you still don't get along with many of your fellow black men.
I feel like the more you conform, like consciously or unconsciously, to the stereotypes, the more you're less likely to even have a bond with other black people. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people will see you, and yeah, especially black people. Like, for example, I like to read a lot. Yeah. Some people here like to like, oh, you like
It's
reading?
a training some type of way.
Yeah,
That's like me as
Do
well.
you know what I mean? Like,
I love reading, bro.
it's strange.
It's seen as weird, isn't it?
But why is it strange? Because we've been conditioned for so long to think that this
Reading
is
is not cool. It's for like nerds and all of that kind of stuff.
But then when you talk about certain other things, he's done some work.
Then it's cool.
She gets
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everyone wants to
Everyone wants to engage.
lean towards certain experiences, whereas it's like being a black man. Yeah, like that's why the question was a bit difficult, because that is literally like your life. Like there's so many facets towards being a black man. It's like certain people will have an experience, like all of us will have an experience being straight black men. Gay black men will have a different experience, you know what I mean? Trans black men will have a different experience. Muslim black men will have a different experience. Christian black men will have do you know what I'm saying? Like there's so many different layers, I suppose, but then I guess there are some things that are like, that stand out, like they expect everyone to, maybe be aggressive
No, I have a question for Julian.
Sure.
How is it like being a black man in the industry that you're in and trying to thrive?
I think it's very difficult. I feel like we always have to do so much more to kind of put our foot through the door. So, whereas like a typical person that was born in this country, I don't want to say they have an advantage, but really, if I'm going to keep it 100%, they have that slight advantage of getting their foot through the door. Due to like, even when I'm in specific certain rooms, it's quite difficult for me to quite difficult for me to kind of articulate myself, and just I feel like I always need to do more, if that makes sense. Even though I could be coming in the room and I could just be being myself, I have to kind of hold myself back a little bit. I don't want to be seen as doing too much, or because like I feel like us black people, we have typically louder voices. I think like it's due to like our background and stuff. We have like louder voices and stuff. So sometimes I'll come into a room and it's like I project myself, like my voice is quite loud, so people will think I'm shouting.
Do you think you have to even bring yourself down even more low because you're quite a tall man and you know quite big in stature? So do you think you have to even bring it down a lot more?
100. I even have a story for that actually.
Yeah?
When I was working in like my corporate job, so I was working for Enterprise Rent a Car. It's like a car rental company, and I was serving a customer, and I was one-to-one with a customer, just taking them around their vehicle, just making sure they're all right with the vehicle. Finished serving the customer, then I get back into my workplace, and then my manager was just like, my manager's white by the way, my manager was just like, oh Julian, why are you being so aggressive with the customer? So I was thinking, wait a minute, like, what do you mean I'm being aggressive with the customer? I'm just walking the customer around the car and just doing my job. And it's crazy because I was making a lot of sales for the company, but he would just do everything to kind of put me down just because of the color of my skin. And like, when he said that, why are you being aggressive? Like, I'm not the type to just react. So I had to really think about what he said. I went home, thinking about what he said, like, why would he call me aggressive for just walking the customer around the car? Yeah. So I was quite disheartened by that, man. It's like, you're coming to work, you're doing a job, you're doing your best, you're even doing a good job, like, and then you kind of get put down, and it's just quite disheartening. So.
And you see those experiences there. Sorry to cut you off.
I think about asking the same question, but how did that make you feel? Because a lot of black men have to go through that, and that kind of leads to like poor mental health. Yes. That kind of like eternal self-regulation you have to do, like, to diminish yourself. A lot of black people have to diminish things, like get the whole tone switch. Like
low on confidence, like I couldn't be myself basically. I had to put on an act every time I come into work. Like for example, like my tonality would change. I'll be like, I have to talk more soft, and I just wasn't being myself. So you can imagine coming into work all the time and you're not even yourself. It's quite demoralizing, if I might say.
Yeah.
So that's how I was feeling.
And in those situations, who would you go speak to? Because this is part of that mental health situation. We kind of need to speak our emotions and really understand them. So
you know what? I'll speak to my friends, but I wouldn't tell my friends every little intricacy, if that makes sense. I wouldn't tell them everything, and I feel like that's down to just like from like the way I was brought up. Like the way I was brought up as a black man. Like if you go through something, just deal with it. You're a man. Do you know what I mean? Which ideally is not the best way to deal with it. Just not saying anything is not the best way to deal with it. It's good to talk to your friends. I wouldn't say, for me personally, I wouldn't say I'll talk to my family. Just me personally speaking. Everyone has like a different person that they can turn to, but I'll say that my closest friends, I'll be able to talk to them, or maybe, okay, family, I'll talk to my brother, because we're quite close, but I wouldn't go to my parents and be like, this happened at work. Sometimes I don't feel like it's a safe space to just speak to them about it. They wouldn't really understand just the way they were brought up. They'll just be like, I'll get on with it kind of thing.
So opening up, do you guys feel like you have to change yourself at university to feel like to like what academic means
or in your workplaces?
Yeah.
I refuse.
Yeah, I've done the same thing. I've refused to.
I actively refuse.
Yeah, 100%.
You guys I just feel like yourselves.
Nah, I think that's
like, generally, if it doesn't work out, it's just not for me.
Because like when you go into a place, like no one ever wants to go to a new place and expect to change who they are and what it is they do. Right. You know, you want to go to a place being yourself because you think that is a place for you to thrive in.
At the same time, when like we say being ourselves, it doesn't necessarily mean that how you speak with your mandem is gonna be how you speak to your boss. Like obviously, like there's certain, I suppose, restrictions or whatnot. Not because like you're gonna limit yourself, but because that's a corporate environment or a more formal environment, you're gonna
be more formal.
But at the same time, I'm doing that being completely myself.
Yeah,
Do you
there's
get
different versions of yourself. So
exactly?
You have to be like your professional
Like, we're
version of yourself.
multifaceted people, like human
I
beings.
have a
That does
follow-up
not
for you
want.
guys actually. What about in an interview? So you're going for an interview.
Yeah.
Okay, we can say we'll be ourselves, but like you're gonna. Okay, your interviewer is white. How are you gonna approach it? Like, are you gonna completely be yourself?
So
like, yeah, how would you approach that?
For me, like, okay, for example, yeah, I recently done an internship at a company, GI Healthcare, developing autonomous kitchens, equipped with robotic cooking systems. Yeah. When I was doing my interview, even at the start, like, because my first name is quite long, I got a long Nigerian name, Ogenerimuride, yeah. But in school, everyone would just call me Richard. So I'd always put Richard as the first name. But when I came to uni, I was like, that's not my first name. This is what my first name is going to be. So even in that interview, like, I was like, oh, this is my first name. You can't pronounce it, so you can't call me Richard, but you are going to know that this is my first name.
But why did you feel like you have to say Richard?
But why do I feel like, no, but simply because they won't be able to pronounce my first name.
But they will, because if you're a footballer, they'll learn how to say your name.
But I suppose, maybe you are right.
Yeah. No, that's facts. That is big facts. Yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah, you do have to think about that.
Maybe I'm going to have to reevaluate.
I don't know, because there are some times where like for those that don't know, my name's Courtney, and I'll be like, because I look at my cousins back home, and no one has a name like Courtney, or like I'll say, I wouldn't even call her a British name, but just a non-African name like that. And I asked myself, well, I asked my mum why she named me Courtney, and she said, well, originally I wanted to give you another name, but I just knew that it would be hard for people to pronounce and people just wouldn't understand it. So when we found another name, Courtney, just said, yeah, that'll be a better fit for you. So I now looked to myself and like, since my mom's tried to like give me such a name like that from birth, it's kind of made you feel like I don't have to change myself for people, but I've always just tried to make it easier for people to kind of understand me, you know, because I can easily be myself and I can do what I want, like how I want to do it, or like you said, like different like facets, like you can be your professional self and everything, but just to make it the lives of others easier, and if you just to not get that hassle every day, I've kind of had to just change a couple things just so they could understand.
But why are you making yourself palatable for white people?
Because
like, politics won't save you.
It's not even making myself palatable for white people, but it's just I think it's just a way of like, in order for you not to explain yourself all the time. Like for example, like you said, your name. Like if I was in the same situation, I would just blatantly say, "Oh, my name is Richard," just so I wouldn't have to explain every single time to every white person that comes along. "Oh, this is my long name, but I know you're not gonna pronounce it, so my name is Richard," kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like